Oh man, we're doing it. What's up, everybody? Welcome. It's Ron Placone. I know you don't usually see me on a Tuesday, but you're seeing me this Tuesday. I'm filling in for Jordan Cheriton. He is in New York at the Trump event, and I believe he's interviewing Trump supporters. So I'm sure he's making a bunch of friends. I'm sure Jordan is just probably making happy hour plans as we speak, just making friends by the boatful. So he's on the ground covering something on the ground, like what happens here at Status Coup. So I'm holding down the fort in studio right before I leave, everybody. I'm getting ready to leave for the road. I know I'm going to see some of you there, and I can't wait. I'll rattle off the tour dates later, but I'm heading to the Midwest. And I know some Status Coup listeners are going to be at the shows. We've had Status Coup folks at every single show this year. So please do not break that streak, Midwest. I want to see you out there. But I'm Ron Placone. Welcome to Status Coup. Smash the like button. Smash it. I'm flying solo today, so if you can, please leave a super chat or a Rockfin tip. We'll get to all the super chats and Rockfin tips throughout the show today. And we got a fun one for you. We're actually going to do a fun little segment at the end. So first of all, there is some stuff going on at the ports on the West Coast. Up in Canada, they voted to authorize a strike. We're going to get into all that, but we're going to start with what's going on at the ports domestically. One of them is literally right by me here in LA. If you saw my beach video today, I was walking around pretty much right where the port of Los Angeles is because it's in my neighborhood of San Pedro. Also, Twitter is cracking down on some stuff when it comes to DMs, not in a good way. And this bleeds into everything that's been going on with Reddit. Now, I did a short video on the Reddit issue with Status Coup. I also covered it on my own show, Get Your News On with Ron. But we're going to kind of tie that into what's going on with Twitter. Also, we're going to be playing a fun little game because Trump is going to be answering to these indictments. Now, just for the record, I don't think he's going to go to jail. I don't think Donald Trump's going to go to jail. I think there might be a fine or something like that, or somebody beneath him will take some kind of fall. And I just don't see much happening here. I know that we've pretty much been, Jordan is the most convinced something significant's going to happen. Tina is kind of in between. And I'm sort of like, yeah, I don't really have any confidence in anything here. Donald Trump, by the way, corrupted. I mean, well, all presidents corrupt the office. That's not unique to Donald Trump. But Donald Trump, in the way he had financial conflicts of interest on the daily, was so freaking on the nose. So on the nose. It was unlike anything we had ever seen as far as like mixing your own businesses with the presidency. But they're not looking at any of that stuff. Instead, they're looking at something regarding the Espionage Act, which I am full-throatedly against the Espionage Act. So it's kind of, I just don't. I mean, I'm like, what? I mean, all the shady stuff this guy did financially while he was in office. And the big smoking gun here is like, well, he showed Kid Rock a document that was classified and probably shouldn't be classified anyway. Shrug. Oh, and by the way, if something does happen and he can't run for office anymore, I know some people are excited about that. Well, there might be a thing where Trump can't run for office anymore. Do you really take solace in that? Because guess what that means? As terrible as Trump is, and he is atrocious, if Trump can't run, the front runner for the GOP is now a literal Nazi. Ron DeSantis will be the front runner. So it's like, wow, cool. The narcissistic neocon buffoon Donald Trump can't run for office now. So we have an actual Nazi. USA, that's awesome. Some of you, man, Ron, you're Debbie Downer here, buddy. I'm just being honest with you. What could I do? So anyway, Jordan will have more to report on from that. But we're going to do a fun segment where I am going to give my list of the top 5 political crooks that I think should be in jail. Now, I'm going to give this disclaimer right now. Boy, was it tough to just pick 5. I felt like, but that's always the segment here. We do the top 5 political turkeys every December. I think we've done other top fives as well. That goes from before my time here at Status Coup. Status Coup has been doing that since before I collaborated with the org. But it's always been a top five. I don't know if that's a high fidelity shout out or not. I don't know if Jordan or if it was just randomly chosen. Colin, do you know? Are you there? Colin's on the ones and twos, by the way. Colin's my friend here. What's up, buddy? Was that a high fidelity thing, or was that just Jordan was like, we're gonna go with 5? That's how we're doing it.
Yeah, I think he just likes the number 5 a lot.
There you go. All right.
It's a good solid number. 10
It's
10
a
is
nice
a lot.
number.
It's a lot more work to do 10.
Yeah. No, 10 would be, although with this task, 10 would have been pretty freaking easy. We're gonna have some honorable mentions. And then of course, because it was early morning, there were a couple people that were kind of top of my list, and then I had to take a step back and be like, oh, wait a second. They're no longer with us. So anyway, we're going to get to that at the end. Let me know your top 5. Top 5. What political crooks do you think should be in jail? What are your top 5? Hard to narrow it down to 5. Try to do it. Super chat yours. We'll discuss it. It'll be a fun time. So let's go to the ports, folks. We're going to go to the West Coast to start out the show today. Let's pull up that first article, Colin. The Port of Seattle is closed due to ILWU. That's the Longshoremen Union here. That's a big union in my neighborhood and all across the coast. Labor strife. Now, take note of the very careful language here. Now, this, of course, is from CNBC, corporate media. Take note of the very careful language. Now, they don't say strike. They say strife. That's not a typo, folks, and we're going to get into why. But let's dive into it first. No pun intended there by saying dive. Anyway, Port of Seattle closed due to ILWU labor strife. The PMA announces, now that's, of course, the Pacific Maritime Association, which wants the union to, be at work. PMA announces the Port of Seattle is entirely shut down due to a coordinated labor disruption. The Port of Seattle is one of the top maritime ports in North America. Okay, so here's the first paragraph here. The labor strife continues on the West Coast with the announcement of the Port of Seattle shutting down due to the ILWU refusing to dispatch labor to work at the container terminals. Okay, take note of that sentence. Refusing to dispatch labor to work at the container terminals. This is according to an announcement by the Pacific Maritime Association, which represents the terminals at the port. Now, here's what they say. Coordinated and disruptive work actions led by the International Longshore and Warehouse Union have shut down cargo operations at the Port of Seattle. Okay, so they're using all this careful language. Well, this is according to the PMA, and they're saying that there's labor disruptions, and they're not dispatching labor. Why are they framing it so carefully? Why are they doing that? Here's why. Colin, let's go to the tweet from the ILWU. So this is what the PMA is saying. Now, of course, the corporate media is amplifying what the PMA is saying. Here's what the ILWU is saying. ILWU is committed to negotiating a fair and equitable agreement and calls on PMA to do the same. The union remains committed to bargaining a contract that is fair and equitable and represents the hard work and contributions of its members towards the ongoing success of the multi-billion-dollar shipping industry. The PMA continues using the media to leverage one-sided information in an attempt to influence the process. Despite what you are hearing from PMA, West Coast ports are open as we continue to work under our expired collective bargaining agreement. The collective bargaining agreement that the ILWU and PMA are negotiating covers more than 22,000 longshore workers at 29 U.S. West Coast ports. The previous agreement expired on July 1st, 2022, and talks began on May 10th, 2022. Okay, so let's break it down what that really means. What that really means is that the longshore workers, the ILWU, they have been working without a contract since July of 2022, which, first of all, right there, completely unacceptable. So what they're doing now is they're continuing to operate under the circumstances which they can operate. So they can't dispatch labor that they don't have an agreement to dispatch, which is 100% fair. So the PMA is saying, Well, that's labor disruption. They're holding up the ports. The unions are saying, no, we're negotiating with you for a fair agreement. And in the meantime, we're utilizing the labor that we're able to utilize because you won't reach an agreement with us. And the PMA is probably saying, well, just dispatch more labor. And they're saying, we can't do that because we don't have an agreement. We're not going to dispatch workers that aren't covered. That's what's really going on here. And you see the corporate media doing the bidding of the PMA, telling their side of it with, oh, it's labor strife. It's disruptions. It's they're not dispatching the labor. Yeah, that's because you don't have an agreement with them. It's your fault, not theirs. It's not the union's fault that the labor hasn't been dispatched. It's because they agreed this is what we can do while we're working on a contract. We can't do more than that. And they're saying, well, do more than that because we have more needs than that. And it's like, no, tough. We can't do that. And guess what? They had since July of 2022 to give the union a fair contract. They haven't yet. So it's getting pretty freaking frustrating. And the ILWU is being pretty diplomatic here, in my humble opinion. I'm sure they're pretty frustrated, as they should be. So up in Canada, they've reached a breaking point maybe a little bit faster. Let's pull up the Canadian headline, Colin. It's not, yeah. ILWU Canada West Coast port workers support strike in landslide vote. The Port of Vancouver and the Vancouver Centrum Terminal in Vancouver, British Columbia, in a landslide vote over 99%. Who is that 1%, by the way? Can't help but be curious. But over 99% of the union workers in Canada, critical for West Coast port operations, including in Vancouver and Prince Rupert, voted in favor of supporting a strike. If a strike occurs, a 72-hour strike notice would be filed before June 21st. The earliest possible strike date would be June 24th. So there you go, folks. That's what's really going on at the port. And you're going to see more articles like the one I just showed you. More articles that say, oh, yeah, it's a labor strife. They're not dispatching the labor. In reality, they can't dispatch the labor because they're not being given a fair agreement. They're trying to make it out like, oh, yeah, they're not given a fair agreement. They're not shutting it down, which, by the way, if they did shut it down, I'd be in support of that. If they went on strike tomorrow, good. But that's not even what's happening here. The unions are playing ball and saying, okay, we're going to keep operating at this level while we negotiate. They could say, hey, you've had since July of 2022. We still don't have a deal. We're going on strike. They're willing to negotiate still. And they're saying, well, we negotiate. This is what we can operate at. We can't operate at more than this. And the PMA is still trying to, paint this dishonest story in the media. Is it a straight up lie? Technically, it's not a straight up lie. But again, it's because they're using their words very carefully and not telling the full story. And we showed it to you. You saw how they labor strife. Not dispatching the labor. They didn't mention, well, it's because now, to be fair to that article, they did hint towards the ILW giving their side of it, at least. But yeah. So that's what's going on. Now you know what's actually going on at the ports. And, it's pretty interesting when a dude walking around a beach talking into his cell phone can give you a better synopsis in a 30-second video or later on a segment on Status Coup than the corporate media can, apparently, because they're more interested in copying and pasting press releases from the powerful. All right, let's go to Twitter. Then we're going to dovetail that into what's going on with Reddit. And this is day 2 of what's going on with Reddit. But this is from Mashable. Elon Musk is trying to find a way to somehow make Twitter even worse. That's what he's been doing since he bought it. Finding out a way to make Twitter even freaking worse. So soon you'll have to pay to DM people who don't follow you on Twitter. Elon Musk's Twitter is increasingly becoming unusable for users who aren't paying the company's $8 a month Twitter Blue subscription. On Monday, the soon-to-be former CEO said that an update coming this week will limit the ability to send direct messages to people who don't follow you on Twitter, making it available only to paying subscribers. Now, if your DMs are closed on Twitter, you can't message anybody anyway. But if your DMs are open, people can message you. And some people would keep their DMs open because they might get a DM from a journalist, or they might get a DM from somebody with a story lead. I know Tina Desiree Berg, I believe her DMs are open. There's a lot of people in the journalism space who, back when Twitter was the way it was, and again, it wasn't perfect then, there were plenty of problems, but it's God, way better than it is now. It's a freaking train wreck now. But now you can't do that anymore. And so now, if your DMs are open on Twitter, whether you pay the Twitter Blue or not, the only people who could DM you via the open DM things are Twitter Blue users. And we all know most of the types paying for Twitter Blue. I think it's going to get to the point where, like, to really get any value out of the app, you're going to have to be a Twitter Blue user. Like, I think and people are either going to have to make the decision, okay, I'm going to suck it up and pay for this so I can still get some value out of it, or there's no value here anymore, so just going to move on. I think that's what it's going to come down to. And I know some people, like, some people already made that decision one way or another. Some people, they were like, you know what, I'm just going to pay for it because I want to be able to upload longer videos and stuff like that, which, look, I get it. I'm not here to judge. Other people are like, yeah, we're pretty much done. But I want my Blue Sky invite. Does anyone in here have a Blue Sky invite? I've been trying to get one. I've been reaching out. Status Coup. We have a Status Coup contributor chat going, and periodically I'm like, Blue Sky invite. Who has them? Who has the Blue Sky invites? But anyway, so they're making it even worse, basically. They're making Twitter even worse. And now Elon Musk is making other things worse, too. Let's go over to the Reddit story. Now, I covered the Reddit story on Status Coup. We dropped a short video about it. Check it out, because in less than 5 minutes, I explain what's going on with Reddit. Now, here's a quick summary. Reddit, starting yesterday, a bunch of subreddits, I believe thousands of them, went dark, and we're like, we're going private, we're done. Why? That's in response to Reddit changing their policy around APIs. Before I continue, smash the like button. There was a smash the like button alert. Smash it so we show up better in the algorithm. And please do leave a super chat if you are able. I'll get to all the super chats at the end here. So API stands for Application Programming Interface. It's basically what allows one app to communicate with another. So something like if you use Streamlabs for live streaming, or if you use the app Apollo for Reddit, or if you use like an app for your Twitter, all of that is possible because of APIs, and it helps develop more third-party apps. Now, access to the API usually was either free or pretty low cost. And the reason for that is because, hey, these APIs benefit everybody. The third-party apps, they're able to exist and have their business. The user benefits from the app, and it's a good user experience for them, and it's a valuable tool for them. And the social media platform, Twitter, Reddit, whatever, they benefit because it leads to way more engagement on their platforms. Well, not too long ago, Elon Musk decided that instead of paying, like a little bit per month, usually it'd be around, if it was anything, it'd be like a couple $100 a month, which for these big apps, that's like nothing. Elon Musk decided that he wanted, for access to Twitter's API, he wanted $40,000 a month, which means a bunch of those third-party apps went out of business. They went bye-bye. Over on the Reddit portion, Apollo is going out of business. Can you bring up that Reuters piece, Colin? So that's basically what's going on. Why are thousands of subreddits going dark? Thousands of popular Reddit communities dedicated to topics ranging from Apple Inc. They all went dark. So that's what's happening. Okay. Third-party app developers using Reddit's vast troves of data will have to pay a price, and the changes could affect players across the spectrum. The Apollo app, popular among Redditors for its alternate interface to the official platform, has said the exorbitant fees have made it impossible to continue offering the service. So they're going out of business at the end of this month. And this all started when Elon Musk wanted 40 grand a month to access Twitter's API. Well, now Reddit's following suit. Now, why is this important? This is important because, first of all, this is crushing third-party apps. Second of all, this is changing the way social media is utilized. This could decrease engagement and could create more pay-to-play models on social media, like what we're seeing with Twitter Blue. All of these things are connected. And it leads to a more hyper-capitalist, surveillance dystopian internet instead of a valuable super information highway tool. And we're seeing this continue to decline. And this is why we need antitrust protection on the web. This is why we need decent internet policy around the way social media is expected to behave, around the way developers are able to behave. And instead, all too often, we get the opposite around the way internet service providers are able to behave. This is why digital rights are important. We're literally seeing the internet as we know it slip away. So please, a call to action connected to all this. Go to badinternetbills.com. That is badinternetbills.com. Sign the petition. It lists all of the terrible policies that are out there and why they're bad, how they break end-to-end encryption, how they could ban apps like TikTok. And we're seeing the effects of this, folks. So again, go to badinternetbills.com. Please do sign that petition to let your elected officials know we need decent internet policy, not horrible internet policy. And folks, before we continue, I'll let you know where I'm going to be. You can check me out on the road. Go to ronplacone.com. I'm leaving in a couple days. It all starts this Friday. Madison, Wisconsin, June 16th. That is this Friday, Madison. June 17th, Minneapolis. June 23rd, Detroit. June 28th, Bloomington, Indiana. June 29th, Chicago. Get your tickets now. Don't wait. ronplacone.com. Cannot wait to see you. Of course, I'll be in Edinburgh for the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, August 16th through 27th. And I'll be in my neighborhood of San Pedro, October 21st. Tickets and all information at ronplacone.com. Getting ready to fly out, folks. Getting ready to fly out, and I'm excited for it. So let's go to my top 5. The top 5 political crooks that, oh, man. Again, it was hard with everything going on with Donald Trump today, which again, I don't see he's gonna, I don't think he's gonna go to jail. But with everything going on with Donald Trump today, it's like, well, who would I like to see do the perp walk? And boy, was it hard to narrow it down to just 5. Very, very hard. And there's a few honorable mentions. Colin, should we start with the honorable mentions or should we just get into it?
We can start with the honorables, get everyone warmed up a bit.
Okay. All right. So some honorable mentions. First of all, I actually had him on the list and then I forgot that he's no longer with us. Colin Powell. Colin Powell, first of all, the My Lai massacre. Oh, gee. The My Lai massacre, Colin Powell was heavily involved in covering that up. And you can also, I mean, if you're not super familiar with everything that went down there, Google it. We're not going to get into that right now. That's just too much. But My Lai massacre, Colin Powell. Colin Powell then would later go on to lie about the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq big time. Never saw a war he didn't like. Was a complete warmonger his entire freaking career. And if you want a more extensive summary on Colin Powell, I must shamelessly plug the podcast, The Dollop. I know that's a podcast some of you already listened to. If you don't, I highly recommend it. But The Dollop did an episode on Colin Powell. It's a very good episode, and I'm a little biased here. I helped write that episode, so I wrote on that episode. Full disclaimer. And yeah, here, bring up that chat again. Dishonorable mention. Yes. Love it. Dishonorable mentions. Thank you for that, Henry. Carne Verde makes a good point, too. Political crooks, you could literally go all week on this topic. It was hard to pick just 5. It was really hard to pick just 5. So we'll start with the honorable mentions. Pete Buttigieg, honorable mention. That guy, being the biggest failure as a secretary of transportation, and also the fact that his only idea that he's put forward is completely privatizing our road system in a way that would just gut logistics in this country completely. Unfortunately, it'd be hard to put somebody in prison for such a thing. But boy, I wish that wasn't the case. Honorable mention, Jeb Bush. I know he's the Bush that nobody really thinks about because he's done nothing. But one of the things he did do was he was the guy in Florida when they helped fix it for his brother. Jeb Bush was the guy who was in Florida, pushing the buttons in Florida, had the phone to Fox News. That was all Jeb. And everything we're still reeling from as a country can be traced back to the Bush administration, contemporarily at least. I mean, obviously it goes far back as Reagan and even further, but contemporarily, boy, frickin' George W. Bush. And Jeb Bush, definitely a criminal offense, which, by the way, I will mention here, part of the way I tried to summarize this top 5 was I tried to pick people that it would be feasible they could go to prison for something. You know what I mean? Like the most feasible. If we just said political crooks, that's pretty much everyone. That could be almost any president in the history of ever. You know, like if you could put somebody in jail for being the biggest political disappointment of a generation and breaking every single promise, obviously Barack Obama, you know, but I tried to limit it to to people that could feasibly go. Another honorable mention, especially applicable as of today, Mike Pompeo. Honorable mention, Mike Pompeo. Now, it's interesting we're going to pick Mike Pompeo today because Mike Pompeo, right now, he's getting like a resurgence because he's speaking out against Donald Trump. Now, when Donald Trump was in office, Mike Pompeo licked his boots every day. Mike Pompeo, he was against Trump. Then Trump got into office. Mike Pompeo couldn't wait to lick his boots and did his entire administration. Now, Trump's facing some heat. Mike Pompeo doesn't like Trump anymore. Mike Pompeo is just an opportunist. And by the way, he is a CIA guy. And guess what he did while Trump was in office? He made a plan to execute Julian Assange. He was the big architect of a plan to try to assassinate Julian Assange. So it's really, really, really disturbing that we are living in a contemporary moment where today, literally today, Assange's defense is doing another appeal for him. They turned down his appeal to not be extradited to the United States. One judge in the UK turned that down. So now they're filing another appeal. Today's the day because they had 5 working days to do it. And this happened about, 5 days ago. So they're revamping his appeal. Well, simultaneously, Mike Pompeo, the guy who was planning to assassinate Julian Assange, he's getting some 15 minutes in fame in the media because he doesn't like Donald Trump. So honorable mention, Mike Pompeo. That guy should be in jail. All right, here we go. The top 5. And again, boy, was this hard. But we mentioned Jeb, so we might as well name someone who made the top 5 with a bullet. George W. Bush. George W. Bush. Ever since college, I was fantasizing about that guy going to jail. Now, we live in the United States of amnesia, and George W. Bush's image has been revamped because he started a paint-by-numbers career. So now he's celebrated by people like Nancy Pelosi, and he gets to dance on a couch with Ellen. But let's not forget, across the world, people see him as a bona fide war criminal because he is. We can go to the axis of evil. We can go to Iraq. We can go to the new American century. We can go to the way they gutted any environment protections that we had and completely neutered the EPA, which is a trend that Obama didn't do much about, Trump didn't do anything about, Biden's not doing anything about. That can all be traced back to policies Dick Cheney proposed and the George W. Bush administration. So, number one with a bullet, George W. Bush. Now, here's the deal. George W. Bush, in many ways, just a puppet. Who was the puppet master? Well, Donald Rumsfeld, another honorable mention, no longer with us. But here's someone who is with us, Dick Cheney. The puppet master, Dick Cheney. You know, whenever they say, the VP is not really a valid position, it doesn't really do anything. Tell that to Dick Cheney. That guy single-handedly completely changed what a VP can and can't do. And in his case, what could the VP do? Pretty much anything. So Dick Cheney, everything I mentioned for George W. Bush, that all applies to Dick Cheney tenfold. All right, another one. Here we go. We're going to get out of the political realm, but not quite yet. Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Now, another honorable mention. The entire DNC would be it'd be great to just throw in the entire DNC, but that'd be pretty hard. And by DNC, I don't mean like the regular people involved with the DNC. I mean like the establishment, the people running it. That's what I mean, in case you were confused. But Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Where do we start with her? Well, first of all, the 2016 primary, which was definitely rigged for Hillary Clinton. The WikiLeaks emails revealed all that. The way they tallied the super delegates, made it out like it was a done deal, reveals all that. The way they went against the will of the people in certain states, including Minnesota, and the way their thumb was clearly on the scale. It was to the point where Debbie Wasserman Schultz had to step down. That right there, pretty freaking shady. But if that's not enough fraud for you, let's look at what went on just in her own state of Florida in her own elections. Ballots were being transported. There was no accountability for these ballots. There's a ton of ballots that went missing that there's no accountability for. Other ballots got damaged somehow. We have no idea what was on them. The second time, when her opponent, Tim Canova, ran as an independent, he somehow managed to get the same percentage of votes in every single age group, in every single category. And it was the exact same, and it was exactly, I believe, about 5%. You know how improbable that is? That's about as probable as getting struck by lightning twice. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, these were a little bit shady. These were a little bit shady. So Debbie Wasserman Schultz, someone could take the fall, and it should be Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Oh, by the way, I think I misspoke. Colin, did I say Mike Pompeo was I mentioned Mike Pompeo as an honorable mention. I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, he was number 5.
He was number 5. All right. So we went out of order a little bit. I had Mike Pompeo next to Jeb Bush, and I got a little mixed up there. Too many honorable mentions. Because both the Clintons, honorable mentions. Bill, just for starting third-way Democrats, gets an honorable mention for that. Bill, it'd be awesome if we could just throw him in jail for that. Hillary for doing the Pied Piper, elevating Donald Trump. But here's the actual number 5. So just for everyone keeping track at home, since I misspoke there, we got Mike Pompeo, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, George W. Bush, Dick Cheney. Yeah. Here's my number 5. And drum roll, please. Drum roll, please. He just celebrated his 100th birthday. Henry Kissinger. Going as far back as Vietnam. Henry Kissinger has been a complete warmonger, has spread war propaganda amidst the American people, pushed for it with policy. And by the way, at one point, Henry Kissinger was a sex symbol in the United States. Did you guys know that? Did that make you throw up in your mouth a little bit? It probably should. But from Nam to Libya and everything that'll happen in the future, Henry Kissinger has never seen an American-sponsored coup or war he didn't like. And he's a war criminal, and he should be in jail. So there you have it, folks. There you have it. 100 years old, by the way. That's so George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Mike Pompeo, Henry Kissinger. That's my top 5. It was very hard to pick just 5. Very, very hard. What are your top 5s? Give me yours. Give me yours. But yeah, boy. So that's what I think. Those are my top 5. And Colin, I think we got time here. Give me your top 5, and if you can, leave a super chat contribution. I think we got time to go to the last thing I wanted to do today that was kind of time sensitive. So Colin, bring up the first if there's time, not the if there's time too. Bring that up here in just a second, or have that ready. I'm going to kind of give people a little bit of an intro, if you will. Which, by the way, folks, smash the like button, smash the like button, leave a super chat if you can. I will get to all your super chats. You help keep the show on the air. And, for those of you who got here late, I am filling in for Jordan Cheriton today because he is covering the Trump event in New York City. He's on the ground interviewing Trump supporters. Again, probably making a bunch of friends. Probably just, yeah. And I think Tina's feeling a little bit better. That's good. You guys know that Tina got spit on a little while ago, which is horrible. But I believe she is feeling a little better. I haven't talked to her. I should reach out. But things have been a little crazy in my world, folks. I'm getting ready to go on the road. I'm getting ready to hit the road here, which I will mention one more time. June 16th, it's this Friday, June 16th, Madison, Wisconsin, June 17th, Minneapolis, June 23rd, Detroit, June 28th, Bloomington, Indiana, June 29th, Chicago. Guys, there have been Status Coup viewers at every single show I've done so far this year. Please do not break that streak. I want to see you in Madison, Minneapolis, Detroit, Bloomington, Chicago. I want to see you there. So don't wait. Get your tickets now, ronplacone.com. I can't wait to see you all. But here's something I want to do to close today before we go to the chat. So there's been some talk, and I know that this has been covered on the show. I've talked about this on other platforms, but there's been some talk that Cornel West might run with the Green Party and not with the People's Party. I think he should run with the Green Party. That's not to say the Green Party's perfect. Of course, they're not. There's things about the Green Party I disagree with. There's things about pretty much every party I disagree with. But I think electorally, if you want to run, the Green Party is your best bet. As far as the third party goes, the Green Party is your best bet. I think they're your best bet, period, as a leftist, because, the Democrats are just going to try to crush you. But, so here's the deal. I wanted to kind of highlight what it really means to try to get on the ballot as a political party going into 2024. And I did this on my show, Get Your News On with Ron. Some of you guys might have seen this. We did it in real time. And we'll do it again here today. So all 50 states have different rules and standards on what it takes to get a political party on the ballot. We can't go through all 50 of them. Some are probably harder than others. So we're just going to do my state. We're going to do California. All right. So let's pull up that first piece from the Secretary of State, Colin. So this is what it means for a political party to qualify to be on the ballot. A qualified political party is entitled to participate in any primary, blah, blah, blah. So scroll down, Colin. Beginning the qualification. First thing you have to do, you have to hold a caucus or convention. Now, I'm not sure exactly how this is measured. I don't know if this is an annual thing or if you just have to do it once. How long is it good for? But the Green Party has a convention every year. I think their one for this year is coming up in August. I don't know if the People's Party has done another convention since the one in 2020. I'm not aware of one. So I don't know how that qualifies or what the time limits are there. But that's the first thing. You have to hold a caucus or convention. Filing notice with the Secretary of State, which basically means you have to fill out all your paperwork with the Secretary of State. You have to make sure that it's, the way it's supposed to be filled out. All right, so scroll down, Colin. Per favor. Keep going. So here are the two methods to qualify a political party. Now, the first method is by voter registration. Now, that's getting the number of voters to register for your party. Now, it's a very, very high number. All right. Just so you know. But hold that thought. We're going to go to the second method first. All right. So scroll down, Colin. The second method is to collect signatures. All right. Now, here's the amount of signatures you have to do, and it has to be no later than 135 days prior to the primary or general. They even tell you when that is. That would be by June 23rd, 2024 for the presidential election coming up in November 24. You would have to get 1,114,661 signatures because that's 10% of 11,146,610. And that's the total votes cast at the November 8th, 2022 gubernatorial election. So you'd have to get over 1 million signatures. Let's just round it down, over 1 million signatures. That's a tall glass of water. That's just in the state of California. All right, so scroll back up, Colin. Putting a pin in that. So that's your first, that's one thing. Now, the other thing is voter registration. Okay, so how many voters do you have to get registered? Here's what you have to get. To qualify a new political party by voter registration requires that voters equal in number to at least 0.33% of the total number of voters registered on the 154th day before the primary election. Okay. So let's go to that second document. This document is from the Secretary of State in California. All right, so go to page 4. Okay, so go ahead and scroll down. This is the, just scroll down on page 4. This is the total registered voters. Okay, it is 21,940,274. Okay, yeah, make that bigger, Colin. I'm squinting a little bit. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the math. I'm going to use a calculator in real time for you guys, all right? And it's 0.33%. Oh, look at me. Yeah, look how fancy that is. Isn't that cool? All right, so here I am using a calculator slowly and awkwardly. Also, I'm very shitty at math, but here I go. 21, so total registered 21,940,274 times 0.00, because it's not 3%, it's 0.3%. So 0.0033. All right. That equals 72,000. Is that right? 72,402. So they would need to register that many people to vote. If it's the total number, scroll back up, Colin. Was that right? That was the total number of registered voters, right? And that's what it's based on, total number of registered, total registered. So that's what they have to get. Now, go over a little bit. Just a little bit. All right. Now, see that 0.44 number? That's the Greens. That's the Greens. So unless the Greens lost 20,000 some voters, the Greens already qualify. They will already make the ballot in California. They have the voters necessary to do it. So unless they lose, like, you know, over 20,000 voters, which I doubt they will. I know Howie Hawkins can be kind of cringe on social media at times, but I doubt they'll lose that many. So to get on the ballot in California, a political party, like as a political party, to get on the ballot in California, you either need to have, you either need to register 72,000 people. And again, this is a political party that it's new. It doesn't exist. There's no, hey, you want to register for our political party? Well, what if you won? Nothing. What if you run in? Nothing. Okay, well, we want Cornel West to run for president. Can you get 72,000 people on just that alone? Or the other option, over 1 million signatures. 1 million. That's a huge tall glass of water. That's a lot of infrastructure. That's a lot of grassroots building. And again, the Green Party already makes it in California. The Green Party already makes it. And I know some people have said, well, you know, sometimes you see them maneuvering like in certain states, like Jill Stein would register as an independent, or in certain states, there'd be kind of a coalition with small parties. Yeah, but here's the deal. The infrastructure is still pretty solid. You're talking about doing that in a handful of states, not all 50 of them. The Green Party already has a pretty extensive amount of ballot access, and they get it time and time again. Also, the Green Party already has over 100 members who hold office. The Green Party has its problems, and there's a lot of them. The Green Party is not perfect. But if you're going to run for president as a third party, and on the left at least, I mean, if you're not on the left, I mean, you could, run at libertarian, whatever. But if you're going to run for president with a left party, the Green Party is by far your best bet. So there you go. That's just one state. Buckle in. We're going to do 49 more. No, I'm just kidding. I can't. We're not going to do that. Let's go to the chat. Let's hit the chat. Catfay Garrett, what's up? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your generous super cat doing a super chat. Huh? It's embarrassing. It took me that long to figure that out. That's pretty. Yeah. I don't know if I ever would have gotten there if I didn't just accidentally flub a word. Good job, Ron. You're a true wordsmith. Super cat with a super chat. But thank you for that, Catfay Garrett. Thank you very much for the super chat contribution. And I can't wait to see you in Detroit. I know you're coming to the Detroit show or Detroit area show. I know that the club is not in Detroit proper. But yes, I will see you at the Detroit show. And I can't wait to see you there. Tony D, I'll be seeing you in Chicago. I can't wait to see you there, pal. Taking corporate bribes should be a crime. Amen. Which, again, we wouldn't be able to pick just 5. We could pretty much pick, like, all of Congress, all of the Senate. Be pretty much everyone. But I'm with you, Tony. I agree. Tony D, you're back, my friend. Can't wait to see you in Chicago. This is better than watching person A call person B a shill. All right, thanks. Been in a great mood today, and this makes it better. Aw, thanks, Tony. Great to see Graham here yesterday. Thank you so much for that. And yeah, I caught a little bit of Graham on the show, and then I caught some of his show later, and then I did my show in between the two. It was almost like we had like a coordinated YouTube block. There was Status Coup, then there was me. I was doing my thing with Get Your News On with Ron, and then there was Graham did Political Vigilante. Anyway, Despo's Fleisch, what's up? Despo, are you coming out to Edinburgh? I know that's not super close to Germany, but it's closer than, anywhere else I'll be this year. So you making the trip? You planning your Edinburgh trip? You should. Come on. Desbush Fleiss, I saw the Breaking Points interview of Jack Dorsey. He got asked what he thinks about Elon's strategy. His answer was ... diplomatic. I'd be curious to hear that. Because, and by the way, there's plenty of things Jack Dorsey did I didn't like. But boy, Musk is way worse. Like just objectively, Musk is way freaking worse. But I'd be curious what he had to say about that. Because it's like Elon Musk just gutted everything that made Twitter a valuable tool. He just gutted it. And I don't even think, some people are saying like, well, maybe he's just trying to run it into the ground on purpose for whatever reason. I don't think so. I honestly think he literally just has no clue what the hell he's doing. And he just has a bunch of money. And he literally bought a social media platform to force people to be his friend. He didn't like some of what that platform was giving him. So he just bought it to make his own rules. And his rules suck. Cyber Hobbit, what's up? Thank you so much for the super chat contribution. Can we make an exception and add corporate media to the jail list? That would be, yeah. Then you kind of you get in a little bit of a dicey area there because of the First Amendment and stuff. But I hear what you're saying. And Clarence Thomas needs to be added to that list. Oh, I would love to put the entire Supreme Court. Actually, I would love to just abolish the Supreme. Well, abolish the Supreme Court goes without saying, but I would love to abolish the Supreme Court and just throw them all in prison. But Ron, some of them are nope, no patience. They just voted. They voted 8-1 to crush people's ability to strike. They know what they're doing. Look up the Glacier Northwest versus Teamsters ruling. That is going to crush people's ability to strike because it's going to allow the companies to come after the striking workers and to sue for quote unquote damages, which they'll interpret that as loosely as they want. So 8-1, the Supreme Court has just decimated workers in this country, and we're going to feel the effects from that big time. So, yeah, I'd throw the entire Supreme Court. Yeah. Anyway, too much power for these felons, and screw Reddit for selling out even more than they already have. Yeah, it's such a disappointment because Reddit, and again, Reddit, I have my issues with Reddit too, and I'm not like a super fluent Reddit user, but it's like a lot of these platforms, like they do have their value, and that's just being sucked away. So it's like, okay, we're losing the internet. It's like, what else can we freaking lose? Fly Chomper Fly, what's up? Kissinger is one of mine. Please read about East Timor. Absolutely. I'm with you. And Fly Chomper Fly, I'm really with you here. We need to coordinate Chicago people. Any plans? I love it. Fly Chomper Fly. Chicago people, message Fly Chomper Fly. I want to see you guys. June 29th is my show in Chicago. And the next day, I'm going to the Hold Steady show. Ron, did you plan your Chicago show around a Hold Steady concert? Yes. Yes, I did. Wait, pull that up. I didn't get to read it. But yeah, June 29th, Chicago, Fly Chomper Fly. We'll see you there. And don't wait. Grab your tickets now. Don't wait and get them at the door. Get them in advance. Glenn Pollitt, I'd love nothing better than a legit left third party. MPP is never going to be that. If Dr. West is serious, the Green Party is all we have at this moment in time. I'm with you, Glenn. I mean, it's like, look, everything MPP's been doing, that's just not how you build a political party. Look, I'm no expert in building a political party. Electoralism in general isn't my thing. But having like a hyper online thing that's like really revolves around podcast isn't how you build a political party. That's not how you get people to join a political party. You need to have ground games, and you need to start from the ground up. You need to start. Your first race should not be a presidential race. It should be like school board or city council or something like that. The Green Party. And again, I'm plenty to criticize about the Green Party. But the Green Party is actually behaving like a party. It's pretty sad that those are our standards. Hey, what would be great? If a political party acts like a political party. And if you're not going to be a political, well, be whatever you're going to be. If you want to be like a vehicle for podcasts, okay, fine, be that. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're going to be a political party, well, be a political party. If Status Coup randomly decided, hey, we're going to be a political party, this is what clearly it's Status Coup is a freaking journalist outlet. Which, by the way, if you can, please become a member. Go to statuscoup.com/join. Your membership goes to funding on-the-ground journalism. It puts Status Lou on the beat in East Palestine and elsewhere. It puts Jordan on the beat in New York, where he's making friends with a bunch of Trumpers. I'm sure he's making a bunch of friends. It puts Tina on the beat, and she's putting herself in danger, and she's going to put herself in danger again because she's going back to Atlanta. But it's all to give you guys the truth and give you guys the stories on what's happening with things like Cop City, with the water in Flint, with East Palestine, and the environmental disasters that are going on, because we know we cannot count on the corporate media to report this stuff. They're just not interested in doing it. They're not willing to do it. Let's see. I totally get. What's up, Dave L? First of all, good to see you. I totally get how Wes would get kind of romantically attached to the history of the People's Party. Glad he got out before he got hurt. Did he get out? Dave, do you know something I don't? Like, do you know something I don't? Let me know. Has it been confirmed? Last I heard, Chris Hedges is having a meeting with the Greens about Cornel West running as a Green. And but Dave, responding directly to your comment, I'm with you. I mean, look, I was at the Convergence Conference. Jordan was at the Convergence Conference. I saw it. The idea of building something new, of people coming together, getting under one umbrella and building something new boy, was that a powerful idea. And that's a beautiful idea. And honestly, all the stuff we just talked about in California, if everyone could coalesce under one umbrella, I think that would be possible. I think you could have a ground game in California so powerful that they could get 1 million signatures or 72,000 people registered. I think that could happen. But you got to start on the ground. You got to start in the communities. You know, you can't just be like, we're going after the White House. We got no track record. And at Convergence, I mean, there were Greens there. There were DSA members there. There were SA members there. There were Extinction Rebellion there. There were climate activists there. There were climate scientists. There were content creators. There were media participants. There were journalists. There were comedians. There were there were college students. There were retirees. I mean, there was everything. And everyone was just fed up with the status quo and realized, like, we need to do something. This can't continue. And boy, was it a powerful moment. And yeah, we all really wanted something big to happen. But, you know, over the past 6 years, it didn't really unfold in a way conducive to have a viable new party. It just didn't. And I don't know the fix for all that. And keep in mind, part of this is way out of anyone's hands. The reason the Green Party is not more powerful than they are, the reason it's pretty much impossible to build a new party is because of things that are so much out of our hands, because of the way the rules are set up to protect the Wall Street sponsored duopoly. And that's the way the rules are set up. So to really have viable options outside of the duopoly, we have to change the rules, and we got to fight to change those rules. How do we change those rules? Well, we fight to get money out of politics. We fight for ranked choice voting. Those are all things that will start to whittle away at this freaking wall. And it's like, well, what happens if we don't break the metaphorical wall? Well, we're going to see more of the same. We're going to see more of this ping pong back and forth between neoliberalism and neo-fascism. That's what we're seeing now. I mean, even just right now. Like, oh, maybe Trump. What if something happens to Trump? Our front runner will be Ron DeSantis then in the GOP side. And the only thing blocking Ron DeSantis would be Rip Van Reagan, Joe Biden, who nobody wants and nobody's excited about. And they don't even want to have a freaking primary. They don't even want to have a primary. If somebody tried to pitch the contemporary United States as a dystopian movie, it would get rejected. They'd be like, this is too far-fetched. But nope, this is real. We're living in it. All right. So there you go. There you go. Guys, thanks for being here. Let me thank everybody. Let's go through the super chats again. Thank you so much, Cafe Garrett. I will see you in Detroit, and I can't wait to see you there. Thank you so much, Tony D. I will see you in Chicago. Thank you so much, Desbush Fleisch. I hope to see you in Edinburgh. I know it's a bit of a trip. I'm going to get to Germany. I don't know when, but it's going to happen. Cyber Hobbit, thank you very, very much for your thoughts. Thank you very much for your super chat contribution. I don't know where you're at, but I hope to see you on the road too. Fly Chomper Fly, thank you so much. I will see you in Chicago. Glenn, don't know where you're at, but thank you very much for the super chat contribution, and I hope to see you on the road. Dave L, not sure where you're at either, but I hope to see you on the road, and thank you so much for the super chat contribution. Again, Cat Faye, Tony D, Desbush Fly, Cyber Hobbit, Fly Chomper Fly, Glenn Pullett, and Dave L. Thank you so much for your super chat contributions. You help keep this show on the air. Tomorrow on the show, I believe Status Lou will be holding down the fort tomorrow, right, Colin? Colin bailed. Colin's out.
That's a good question.
Oh, okay. All right. I think it's Status Lou.
I'm not sure. Yeah, that sounds
tentatively
right.
Status Lou. Tentative Status Lou, and of course we'll have more of Jordan's footage from the Trump event he went to, and we'll see. None of you guys gave your take. What do you think? Although I didn't ask it, do you guys think Trump will go to? I don't think he's going to go to jail. Do you guys think he's gonna go to jail? What are your thoughts? Let me know. I don't think he's going to jail. I still think like it's going to be some like bullshit fine, or somebody like lower will take a fall. Is there a chance they'll make an example out of him? Yeah, there's a chance. I don't. Yeah, you guys know. Most of you are saying no. Yeah, Michael, you're saying no. Dave D, you're saying no. Cafe Garrett, you're saying no. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I try to be I try to be open-minded to things, but it's kind of like, I'm not trying to sound nihilistic about it all. I'm just being honest. When I hear people say stuff like nobody's above the law, I mean, it's like, I wish that was true. There are a bunch of people above the law, and guess what? Donald Trump's one of them. Donald Trump is one of the people above the law. Guess who else is above the law? The CIA, the FBI, Congress, the Senate, the Clintons. They're all above the law. Donald Trump, George W. Bush, all above the law. Every now and again, sometimes the powerful have to make an example out of somebody. Is there a chance that'll happen to Donald Trump? There's a chance. Chances are it'll be some bullshit slap on the wrist, if anything. But yeah, I just don't have any faith, people. I really don't. I just don't. But what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And folks, again, thank you so much for tuning in. One more time, I'll give a shout out to all the chatters, everybody who participated today, and especially Cafe Garrett, Tony D, Desbush Fly, Cyber Hobbit, Fly Chomper Fly, Glenn Pollett, Dave L. Thank you so much for your super chat contributions. You help keep Status Coup afloat. And I'll be back not this Thursday. I'll have to miss this Thursday because I'm traveling, but I will be back next Thursday along with Tina Desiree Berg. But I will be in and out a little more sporadically coming up here because I'll be on the road. But I can't wait to see you guys on the road. Once again, June 16th, Madison, June 17th, Minneapolis, June 23rd, Detroit, June 28th, Bloomington, Indiana, June 29th, Chicago. I'm getting ready to leave. And I can't wait to see you there. There's been Status Coup people at every show this year. Would love to see that momentum stay. I can't wait to see you guys in the Midwest. And folks, this is Ron Placone for Status Coup signing out.